by film.
5,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade up.
Sneaky little Robinsons.
Spider-Man, hero or menace?
Deer and Dugu.
Dobby the house elf.
Who holds sway over the 5 points?
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
This is my family.
There's a hole in this cake.
You concur?
I'm a bloody Island. I'm bloody Ibiza.
How about new, you crazy Dutch bastard?
Well, welcome, everyone, to a brand new, slightly delayed episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers.
It's still July.
Yeah, it just might not release in July. We are a podcast dedicated to rewatching movies from 2 decades ago while simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim.
And we are coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. In this episode, we are going to take a turn to the dramatic, and I believe our first foray into graphic novels. I mean, we have done comic books, but not an official graphic novel.
I would say so. Yep.
Anyway, and we will be rewatching 2002's Road to Perdition. Road to Perdition is a Depression-era drama set in Illinois. When Michael Sullivan Jr., the son of a well-respected mob enforcer, witnesses a murder he should not even know about, the mob attempts to silence his entire family. Unfortunately, instead of all 4 members, they succeed in killing only his mother and younger brother. Forced to flee and protect his son, his father, Michael Sullivan Sr., sets out on a road to what eventually becomes a possible path to redemption for the two of them.
I tried to avoid more bloodshed. You wouldn't accept that, so I did what was necessary. But I've always loved you like a son, and now I'm telling you, leave before it's too late.
Think. Now, they're protecting him now, but when you're gone, they're not going to need him anymore. This ends with Connor dead, no matter what.
That may be. But you are asking me to give you the key to his room so you can walk in, put a gun to his head and pull the trigger, and I can't do that.
He murdered Annie and Peter.
There are only murderers in this room. Michael, open your eyes. This is the life we chose, the life we lead. And there is only one guarantee. None of us will see heaven.
Michael could.
The film is directed by Sam Mendes, adapted from the graphic novel of the same name by David Self, and stars Tom Hanks as Sullivan Sr., Tyler Hoechlin as Jr., Paul Newman, Jude Law, Daniel Craig, Ciarán Hinds?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Ciarán Hinds, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. I actually do have an initial memory of this. I don't know. We don't cover them unless we need to. So in a small cosmic coincidence, this film and our next 2 films we are covering, this and Reign of Fire, were actually released on the very same day. July 12th of 2002.
I didn't know that.
I actually saw them on back-to-back days that opening weekend.
Nice.
In Wilmer, Minnesota. And this week I have watched them on back-to-back days 20 years later. Almost 20 years to the day later.
Almost.
It's kind of a weird little parallel.
That's crazy.
I remember definitely I wanted to love Perdition more than I did at the time. I like it better now.
Yes.
As time has gone by. And of course, Reign of Fire is just Reign of Fire. We'll talk about that in our next episode. So anyway, just a weird little...
That's a good one.
I remember seeing him in the theater too. I was at a music festival in Wilmer for the weekend, and I was like, during the day, there's nothing going on. So I was like, I'm going to go to a couple movies.
Check out this dour...
There you go.
Movie.
By myself too.
Nice.
Well, with that being said, our first segment, as always, is Drinking Buddies.
Come on, not my fucking beer.
Where we present the 4 beers we will be drinking while re-watching our subject film. Tim will be walking us through our buddies and also an additional strange brew that I am very curious about. So take it away, Tim.
Perdition in Christian theology.
Oh, gosh.
is a state of eternal punishment and damnation into which a sinful and unpenitent person passes after death.
Sure, now you know how it feels to be in this segment with you.
What is it? Cue. Boom.
Anyway.
What does that sound like to you? Does it sound like hell? Yeah.
Yeah.
From Bad Weather Brewing Company out of St. Paul.
Helles.
Their Munich
Is that what this is?
Helles.
Yeah, okay.
That's right. It's our theme beer. Traditional Bavarian lager that we'll be starting with. Let me get that here. Oh, that's going to be so good. And then out of Wisconsin, is it Waunakee?
Waunakee.
Yeah, Waunakee, Wisconsin. Humble Forager, which has become one of my new favorite. Try and get options from them all the time if I can.
Yeah, they get stuff.
Their Coastal Sunshine Fruited Sour with pineapple, orange, and banana. And then I don't know if we've had one from Drecker yet. We've done a lot of Junkyard, but I don't know that we've...
If it was early.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of updating the website, so I'll have to look.
Extended out into Nodak, but we have Drecker's Doomsday Device Double IPA with Mosaic hops. That's why I was like, yep, I want that. And then we're going to end the segment with, out of Roseville, Minnesota, Bent Brewstillery, which is a new one that I don't think we've had before.
We have not had it. We had been there.
Yes.
But yes, we have not had it on the podcast.
Their Jamaican-style stout, Fidem, F-I-D-E-M, which has cocoa, espresso, dark fruit, and this is my favorite part, rum kisses.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I can't wait to talk about that. Those are the four drinking buddies that we're going to have, and then we'll have the Strange Brew.
Cover the Strange Brew later.
At the end.
Perfect. Thank you. Our next segment then is the social network,
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 20 years ago. Tim takes point on this research since I put as little effort into this as possible. So Tim, you can take this one away as well.
Well, to be fair, you do write a really great intro of the description.
Yeah, I suppose.
I never
There
put
you
that
go.
effort into that.
Yep.
So it's a good pairing. The IMDb rating is 7.7 out of 10. Wesley Morris of Boston Globe said director Sam Mendes knows his way around a gangster movie, resurrecting the genre by grafting it to a Western's confrontational landscape. Kenneth Turan of LA Times said this is classic, albeit somber filmmaking, restrained and all of a piece by a director who believes film can tell adult stories in an adult manner, who knows the effects he wants and how to get them. Roger Ebert, 3 out of 4. It was a positive review overall, but it said, after I saw Road to Perdition, I knew I admired it, but I didn't know if I liked it. I am still not sure. It is cold and holds us outside, yet it is wonderfully acted. Road to Perdition is like a Greek tragedy, dealing out remorseless fates for all the characters.
Shove that Pulitzer Prize square up your ass.
And that was like the most...
He loves Greek tragedies. So.
He does.
Okay.
For that year, Academy Awards is up for 6 nominations, including sound mixing, sound editing, production design, original score, cinematography, and supporting actor for Paul Newman.
Winning for cinematography.
It did?
Yeah. Conrad L. Hall won for this.
Oh.
Just look it up and
I will.
That's fine. And before we pause, we'll go ahead and you can just say I was right. While Tim looks that up, I think we'll get to the good part, I guess, where we get to enjoy the beers and rewatch the movie. I would encourage you to watch along or pause at this point until you see it. Because again, as usual, there will be spoilers from here on out.
It did win!
It won.
Man!
Conrad Hall. You are forewarned. Spoilers ahead. On that note, directed by Sam Mendes, here is Road to Perdition.
How is Michael? Is he okay?
I've spoken to him. He understands.
That's tough. Seeing that for the first time. Well, you turned out. You can't protect him forever. If it wasn't this, it'd be something else. Natural law. Sons are put on this earth to trouble their fathers.
So what brings you guys to the middle of nowhere?
We're bank robbers.
We're just passing through.
So when do I get my share of the money? $200.
Okay. Deal.
Could I have had more?
You'll never know.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, well, welcome back to 20 Years, 4 Beers, where we have just finished rewatching Road to Perdition and also have, I guess, enjoyed 4 new beers that we will review in a segment coming up.
I guess.
We have also learned not to with Michael Sullivan. That's a good life lesson.
Yep.
But as usual, we jump right into our reaction segment that we call High Fidelity.
Top 5 side ones, track ones,
where we discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching the film. I'm sure we have a few. So, do you want to go first? It's been longer since you've rewatched this. So
it's not one of the top 5, but I just want to be really clear that I'm just so happy that we're doing this because it allows us to watch a movie again like this that I haven't seen in probably 15 plus years.
Sure.
And like you talked about your memories of seeing it. When I saw it, I know I saw it and I was somewhat unimpressed in terms of just like my reaction to it.
I think and expectations, right? Like we thought you got Tom Hanks, you got Sam Mendes, you got
American Beauty,
right?
oh my gosh,
Paul Newman.
But it's great watching because we talked about when we were watching it. I remember a lot of the high points, but so much of the nuances and like intricacies had no idea. And so it was like a sucker punch at times watching it again. So I'm just really quick, love that we're doing this again because it allows us to enjoy something like this, at least for me, where it's like, I know what's happening, but it's like watching it for the first time again. So it's great.
I will start us off by apologizing to Stanley Tucci because I included Jennifer Jason Leigh in my cast list, who has like 5 lines in this movie. And I knew that anyway, but I had forgotten Stanley Tucci was in this. So apologies to Stanley Tucci. So my overall top takeaway is what a great example of storytelling in film. In that there are all kinds, like if you were to tell this story to somebody, there would be all kinds of questions in return.
Yeah.
Like just follow-up questions and who's this person, who's that person, and I love that they don't go into great detail. No. You don't even hear the name Al Capone until halfway through this thing.
Yep.
Because of course everyone in that area would have been answering to Capone, but you don't think about it until halfway through. You're like, oh right, duh. So Paul Newman, Rooney. He obviously is a higher up or / his own family underneath, but you don't need that explanation. It just fills in the blanks on their own. Early on when Tom Hanks talks, or when Senior talks to Junior and says, go to so-and-so at the church, but don't go to Father Callahan or whatever, because obviously he's on the books for Rooney. And I don't need those explanations. I don't need a scene with Al Capone unnecessarily. I don't need all that stuff. Just a great example of the point of this story is the relationship between the father and the son within this like ordeal.
Yes.
So I don't need the rest of that stuff. I don't need all that stuff. If you're telling me, if this were a TV series or something like that, you would have Al Capone, you would have all these other people, but no, it's just what a great example of small storytelling in film. The shots are perfect. The pacing is not slow. It's not forced. Performances are spot on across the board. Music is great. We'll get into that, I'm sure.
Yep.
All the necessary dots are connected. Just to me, I'm like, what a great story. Yeah. Just a storytelling movie.
Yes.
Like, I feel like I have just sat down with somebody who told me this story about Michael Sullivan Jr., like later in life, who finally decides to tell his story of how when he was a kid, and this is it. And you're like, oh my gosh. So it's just really good storytelling.
Yes. Yeah, I wrote down that to that point of, some movies are just fantastic at creating rich atmosphere out of such little dialogue or exposition.
Yeah.
You're right. Like that first 10 minutes, Patient, where it's just setting up the world. And it doesn't have to have like some kind of credit sequence or explanatory items. You just put the details together through, Sullivan, who is some type of enforcer.
Muscle man. Yeah. Yep.
And then you've got Mr. Rooney and the wake and the dynamics that are in play with who's this person that died? How did that come to be? Something's off.
Right.
Introduction of Connor, Rooney's son, who clearly is off.
Yeah.
And, really off, putting as well. And then that just kind of builds and builds in that time. So then when it comes to the scene where Connor just out of blue kills the guy at the factory.
Yeah.
Who was having some kind of issue with the wake. Well, it's his brother dying, but you don't know that.
Yeah,
it's
there's
just
a story behind it.
Once you learn eventually, it's super jarring because you can feel the tension, but surprised at the violence coming out of it, nowhere. But you're right. The story then from after that just plays out from those dynamics that were laid for the foundation at the beginning without like clear markers, but then it just fleshes it out more and more. So I totally agree. I was really impressed with the ability of the screenwriter and cinematographer and Mendes to direct it, to put it all together where I agree. It's not slow. Patient is the word I like to use for a lot of these movies that people might be like, oh, it takes a long time. No, it's just, it takes its time.
Yeah. God forbid we ask you to pay attention.
Yeah.
Like this is not that's like saying Godfather's a mobster movie. It's just not.
No. Yeah.
It's a story about family.
Yeah.
So is this. I mean, they are on the same level.
Yes.
There's as much violence as this as there is in The Godfather. And
Exactly.
that's why I'm just like, one's viewed as a masterpiece and the other is this. So I'm like, come on.
So that to piggyback off that, that's my first thought was it's just so incredible at creating an atmosphere of tension, and then it diffuses it throughout. And there's moments of levity and emotional impact, tension, but it doesn't do it with really broad strokes. Like it's really, really well done. There you go. Yeah, sorry, handing the beer away. Yeah, it was really good, man.
Yep.
It was really, really good. So yeah, that was my first point as well.
Okay. Well, then I guess I'll go next.
You can.
So I was struck by a couple things, of course, but the set pieces are so impressive.
Yeah.
Just all of them. Every set piece. And it is like a story of one to another to another. There's not a lot of in between, but we go early on, not only the Finn scene where like you were talking about with the first death that we see, from there to, the death of the mother and son is just haunting.
God.
But then that whole scene too, where the shot of Connor looking in the window and Michael on the other side of the window, but they can't see each other because at night the reflection is you can't.
Michael can see him.
Right, yeah, because the light's coming from inside.
Yes.
You don't think about that.
Yes.
It's just brilliant.
Yes.
The diner scene is absolutely amazing. The hotel scene with the accountant shooting on the street. I'll try and take a little bit of vague as best I can at this point.
Yeah.
The bank heist montage, all those scenes, just all of the set pieces along the way were so pitch perfect.
Yes.
But in particular, the diner scene for me stands out.
Yes.
The back and forth between Jude Law and Tom Hanks, the specific, and you saw it too, because you reacted to it. They're back and forth, and the shots go back and forth, but then all of a sudden it stays on Sullivan for longer to get his reaction, realizing who he's talking to is just a masterclass in film.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just impressive, it's like, holy cow, it just stands out. And all the set pieces.
Is that your profession or your pleasure?
Both, I guess. To be paid to do what you love. Ain't that the dream?
I guess so.
Yourself?
I'm a salesman. Machine parts.
machine parts. That's wonderful.
I assure you it is not. So who do you work for?
Can you keep a secret? I'm press.
Which paper?
All over. I'm something of a rarity.
How's that?
I shoot the dead. Dead bodies. That is, I don't kill them.
I should hope not.
And the bead of sweat on Hanks's character slowly going down his cheek.
Yeah, right at the end. Yep.
Where that is the only indication. His face hasn't given anything away.
Yeah, nothing.
He's a blank slate, but that bead of sweat that he knows something's up. That to me, I agree. All the things you talk about, like that dynamic, but that's the tell where you go, holy cow, this is next level filmmaking.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That was one thing I wrote. The second thing for me was, this is going to sound like Roger Ebert snooty, so forgive me, but I think we can agree in some ways. There are differences between films and movies.
Oh yeah, it's like when I hear the Brits say cinema.
Yeah, cinema.
Like, cinema. Right, exactly.
Okay. Like, not to be like a semantic nerd, but there's difference to that. And I thoroughly believe this is the former in terms of it's a film, the attention to detail, the lighting, the camera work, cinematography, production design, everything you talked about, so that it builds and builds and builds, and it creates this world with such exacting detail.
Yeah.
So then what allows it to then become that type of film experience for me is the emotional stuff kicks in.
Yeah.
And it creeps in. And you're right. The diner sequence, unreal. Yeah. Hotel shootout. And then when Sullivan gets shot and has to be taken care of by his son, the recovery for that and the score kicks in, just beautiful.
Yeah.
Like and beautiful is such a inadequate term for some of these things. Like it's so wonderful that like I said, I'm happy we're doing this. I didn't really want to take notes.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, I just want to, it draws you in, and it doesn't feel like a movie where I'm like kind of critiquing. It's just like immersive and wonderful. So it's definitely a film to me in terms of the regard that it should be held in. So it's great.
Interesting. I'm surprised you don't have some sort of pompous word aside from beautiful. That's, nothing. Huh.
Pompous?
Yeah.
No, just the word. I didn't have time for the thesaurus. So anyway, I did start off with what's perdition. Here's the description.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I feel like I peaked early.
Sure. Well, that happens to the best of us, so it's all right. So I guess I don't know exactly which point to bring up next, but it's just kind of like, I don't really know what Thomas Newman needs to do to win an Oscar. And I know he sounds...
Dude.
Like, so my point is, like, we love our scores and composers.
Yes.
Obviously, you know them better than I do.
Yeah.
And we've talked about them many times before. And there are iconic composers out there. And the reality is Thomas Newman is not a household name when it comes to scores.
Nope.
But everyone can tell when it's a Thomas Newman score. They might not know the name, but there is no more unique... Like, you know when it's John Williams, I get that. But that's because they became iconic. I'm saying... Even with Williams and Horner and Goldsmith and these other guys, there's some that cross over where you go, wait, is this that person? Is that person? Yeah. If you hear a Thomas Newman score, you know it's Thomas Newman. Yes. And in this movie, and I know Frida is a good score.
Yeah.
It is a good score.
It is good.
But come the F on.
Yes.
Like, this is perfect for the movie, the style, the feel of the movie. And I think it was Ebert who talked about how, like, it was visually beautiful, and he talked about how the story there wasn't as maybe not as much of a story, which I don't know what movie he was watching, but like
shove that Pulitzer Prize square up your ass.
The score is so good. I don't know what Thomas Newman needs to do. Quite frankly, he's probably shit out of luck. at this point 15 times.
15 times.
You know, he'll probably get nominated another couple times before he dies, and there endeth the story.
Yes.
But like, I don't know. This might be my favorite of his. It
Yeah.
sounds like other ones. I mean,
Yes.
because all of his scores do sound really alike.
Yes.
To a certain extent, certain pieces of them. But as a whole, I would say Shawshank.
Yes.
And this.
Yes.
And maybe, and I love Series of Unfortunate Events and Finding Nemo, but just like,
yeah,
those are all really good ones as
Those
well.
are
But
great
in relation to the film you're watching, I would probably say Shawshank and this.
Yes. I wrote down, I got to say that I often find myself being more interested in watching a movie if Thomas Newman has done the score for it, because I know it's going to be incredible. He's hands down my favorite of any composer. And
yeah, like when I
can
go for walks
appreciate-
and stuff and
Yes.
I'll have scores on in the background, like I like a good John Williams one, but
Yes.
just ambiance, like walking around or whatever,
Yes.
he just puts you, he and Michael
Giacchino
or whatever,
Yes.
they just put you in the
Yes.
mood. Like
Oh,
they're
yeah.
very similar, but
yes. Yeah, to me, Thomas Newman is the just prime example of creating an atmosphere. And you talk about it being similar. Side note, I do remember watching in the theater Pay It Forward, but that came out a little bit after American Beauty.
Yep.
And the couple in front of me, I saw it with mom and dad, and the couple in front of me were talking as the credits were rolling, and I heard the person say, "Jesus, sounds like American Beauty." And I think for said, "That's because it's the same composer."
Yeah, that's how it works.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, like you can watch the credits and see. But yes, I do see it does sound the same. And I give crap to like James Horner and others where it's like you're just ripping off the same notes. I never feel it's the same with Thomas Newman. Like it's the same tones and vibe, but it doesn't feel like I can just like rinse and repeat or like plug and play for some of them. But yeah, I don't know what he's got to do to get recognition more than he already has, because he,
I mean, you could liken it to, and I know Hanks has 2 Oscars, I get that, but short of winning back-to-back Oscars, since then, like, what's an MFer have to do to even get a nomination? Because, after Castaway, he had none until Mr. Rogers a couple years ago. There was like a huge gap in between that, and you're like, because everyone take it for granted.
Yeah.
And yet, and it's like, I guess we're comparing it.
Yeah.
Meryl Streep gets nominated if she takes a poop.
And John Williams.
And John Williams is the same way.
Yes.
Like, so it's like, I guess John Williams and Meryl Streep are the, like the best, and then
they
the other
worked
2 are
this
just
year.
overlooked somehow. I don't know.
Give him an award this year for just showing up. But yes, and that's the thing is like, but you watch this movie, it's a prime example of he can have the bagpipes and the tension, and then the beautiful components come in and just are so evocative.
He's like banging on the piano strings or something too. Like whatever that is that he does is so good.
Well, in the bedroom, we had that one last year, and that's a crazy one. But he does different things, different tones, but he is, I like a wax poetic how much I love Thomas Newman. He's
I guess we talk about John Williams to the again, the Academies are not the be all end all.
Yeah.
He is nominated 15 times. So clearly they appreciate what he does.
Yes.
I just think they probably take for granted in terms of awarding him.
Yes.
But there are years that I think were you talking about where you look up maybe with Thomas Newman and you go, okay, who he lost to?
Yeah.
Justifiable.
Yes.
This particular year, I think you probably could have been like, okay.
Yeah.
Frida, fine, but give it to him.
Yes. Because American Beauty lost to Red Violin, and it's like, okay, that's a damn good score.
It is, actually, yeah. A movie that nobody's heard of, but that score is outstanding.
Yes. So good. Anyway. So I wrote down that, not to beat the dead horse, like I've done quite often, but it's totally different watching a movie like this after having kids, man.
Yeah, it's a common theme for you, for sure.
It's just a totally different experience of...
yeah, I wouldn't turn my kid in either. I hate to break it to you.
No,
before I had kids, I would not have.
Yeah,
I was like, just kill
your
Connor.
son is a terrible human being, and he's killing people.
Right.
But yes, the murder sequence with the mom and the boy, and to the point where at the end we're sitting here, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, Tim finally realized He remembered
I know
the death at the end.
Tom Hanks has to die, but I become invested, and the kid has to see it. So anyway, I don't know what I'm crying about. Again, it sneaks up on you where like you think about the kid and his dad. Anyway, so
and it is seeing it too.
Yeah,
there's a certain level of like, oh, if he finds his body or whatever, I get that. But like to see him get shot, there's a certain level of that too. And you have invested your time, and Senior has come around on Junior. Like he loved his kid, but I don't think he appreciated him, right? And then finally by the end, he's learning to appreciate his kid as not a man. Of course, in the 30s, if you're 13, I suppose you're pretty damn close.
Yeah.
But like, which is so funny because like my 13-year-old now can barely mow the lawn. Meanwhile, this guy's like got his kid robbing banks with him because exactly like
that's the clutch.
Times they have a change to paraphrase Bob Dylan.
Yeah. But like the scene where like Mike asks his dad, like, "Did you love Peter more than me?" Yeah.
And which every kid thinks that.
Yeah, it's just heart right. Like, and that's where I think the movie.
I mean, Audrey and I know that our parents loved you more than.
Stop. But the great thing about this movie is like that's where I talk about the emotional wallop comes up out of nowhere, where it's a artifice in many ways with the look of it, the style, the aesthetics of it, and what surprised me clearly with my reaction now is like the emotional pieces and the story you talk about before of just building and building and building, where then it's like these sucker punches of things where it just comes out of nowhere. That was really surprising to me. So I appreciated the execution of it when I first saw it.
I think,
and now the emotional like wallop of it, love it.
Yeah,
so
it does. I do agree. I think it does. It's a great example of they did a good job tapping into something.
Yes,
and. You forget about Paul Newman's line. With
natural law. Sons are put on this earth to trouble their fathers.
Oh, yeah. That's what this story is really about.
Yeah.
And I think, again, not to compare, but when you talk about Godfather, it is where people think this is a movie about mobsters. It's just not. There's nothing about this. And if you think it's mobsters, then it's not going to be violent and it's not going to be good enough. If you think it's a story about fathers and sons, then I guess it's the Field of Dreams of mobster movies, right? Of just like
that's a catch.
Yeah. I think they do a great job of tapping into that.
Like to the point where again spoilers, but at the end when Mike is dying and his son has to kill the bad guy
potentially
to save him, and Mike knows he's not going to do it, so in his last moments kills the guy.
Yeah.
Like that to me is the crux of this, like...
Oh, and he dies in peace, by the way, because his son did not...
Have to kill somebody.
Yep.
He didn't become like him who was worried about. Like that, just... God.
Yeah, again, it is these... We were talking about storytelling earlier. There are these depths that we're talking about things that are not spoken in the movie. Like these are not outwardly spoken.
Yeah.
But there are just depths that you can fill in the blank and go, but that's not my story. That's just it's clearly what they're trying to tell you.
Yeah.
I know he's an Oscar winner and he's had other nominations, but somehow Sam Mendes has quietly put together a pretty strong resume under the radar of appreciation, I think. And I think that's because Jarhead, Revolutionary Road, and that little stretch he had.
Yeah.
Which Revolutionary Road is underappreciated, and I think it's well received. I think it's a downer of a movie, and I don't think you've seen it.
I've never seen it.
But we've talked about movies of his you've seen, so you probably should see it. Because I do think, like, you go American Beauty, this movie, Revolutionary Road, Skyfall, Spectre to a certain extent, 1917. Recently, he won a Tony Award for Best Director of a Play. Like, the man... And there haven't been failures in between that. He's just taking his time in between and doing his own thing.
Yes.
So really, sort of quietly, I think Sam Mendes has become a master storyteller. He's got a movie coming out later this year, and I'm like, yep, I'm in. Like, I'm at this point, especially after 1917, like, I'm in on Sam Mendes,
1917. Yeah,
so
I
don't know why. I just was like, somehow quietly, a Best Director winner who has a Best Picture under his belt, another Best Picture nominee under his belt, one of the best Bond movies that's ever been made. Like, somehow...
You see Away We Go? With John Krasinski and Maya Rudolph? Maybe not Maya Rudolph.
Is that him?
Yes, it is. I had to look. I think it was him.
Oh, okay.
That is another fantastic one.
Exactly.
Super understated.
Right.
Where they're like...
Because that's his tone,
they become
right?
pregnant.
Like everything
and
is...
yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yes. He's another one where it's like, yeah, you're going to make a movie? I'll be there. Yeah.
Right, but I mean... But not a tentpole film. Like, these are, generally speaking, art house style films, you know, but doing it in a way that is, I mean, obviously, except for the Bond movies.
True.
But even then, Skyfall is not a traditional Bond style film, and that's what was so good about it. So
I totally agree. Yeah, that's good. No, I think, especially for someone that came out of nowhere with American Beauty.
Yeah, he had one other film earlier than that, but otherwise it was American Beauty.
That was his film debut.
No, or maybe it was music videos.
Could be
something like that.
Yeah. There's trivia about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever. So, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe my Googling efforts from before.
That's true. When you only trust Google.
This wasn't Google, it's IMDb. That's right. Okay, the last thing I'll say is minor quibble.
Uh-oh.
And it's not so much a critique of this movie. It's just the mechanism by which they tell these stories. And I love this movie. After seeing it for so long, I really am happy to watch it again. It's so great. I struggle sometimes with movies that start out like, this is going to be a retrospective of this main character, Mike Sullivan, saying, I was on the road for 6 weeks with my father, and this is our story. And then the film proceeds to show things that would not have been in their purview or their visibility to properly tell their story. I just get really challenged by stories where it's like, here's my thoughts and
I gotcha.
My background and like tell you my story.
But
like
how would he have known?
How would he have known
these other things?
that, you know, Mr. Rooney is beating up his son for what he's done after he kills the mom and son, but then like embraces him again? Like, these are things that you would not.
Maybe
because
he didn't.
they all die.
Maybe we just saw that he's assuming,
and that's fine. Then don't tell me it's a retrospective in that sense. Again, minor quibble in terms of whenever I see movies that are like, let me tell you a backstory, and you would not have known that happens. But again, I'll get past it because of how great the overall experience. I'm so thrilled that we watched this again. Truly, when it was up for what we were watching, like of the 2000s to come, I was like, oh, I'm excited to see it again. And God,
and this was actually high on my list. You know what I mean? This was probably top 5 I wanted to watch this year.
And it's just gorgeous. Dear God.
Oh my gosh. Conrad Hall, man.
Yes.
I have 2 notes about the principal actors in here. They're my last 2 on my list.
That's talk.
What's that?
Let's talk. Let's chat.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I have one other thought, which was the best picture noms of this year were Lord of the Rings. So you remember this, right? Where at one point I got really bored one night and I went through all the best movies from 2000 on that were not nominated for Best Picture, but were also nominated for Oscars, meaning that they were on the radar.
Yeah.
And this was high on that list. I mean, you were nominated for 6 to not be nominated for Best Picture. It gets pretty close. But you do think like, and we're not going to watch them because we're not going to watch The Hours this year for sure.
No.
We will likely watch Gangs in New York. It's on the list, but we hope to.
Oh, yeah.
But arguably, Lord of the Rings, Chicago, and The Pianist are better or on the same level as these, where you would go, I would pick this movie. Can't argue with you on that.
Yes.
I can't.
Yep.
If you were going to tell me Gangs in New York is better than this, I'm going to fight a bitch on that one.
Not a chance.
And we'll talk about that with Gangs in New York later. But you do go like, really? This is...
The Hours?
The Hours was better than this? Like,
God.
Kill me now.
No way.
No, we were never going to watch the movie. But side note on that. Like, anyway, I really thought Newman was in this less. I had it in my head that this was like a Judi Dench style...
Courtesy.
A lot less, end of a career.
Yes.
Because except for Cars, and he did a voice in like some Meerkats movie or whatever. This is his last on-screen performance in a movie. He did Empire Falls, the TV miniseries or whatever after this. But That was it. This was it.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of go like, oh, this was just a here you go.
Yeah.
But Newman is so
God.
effing good in this.
Yes.
And he's in it way more than I thought he was.
Yes.
Way more. And so I'm so happy even though I've watched this probably in the last 5 years, I just don't notice that, right? Unless we're critiquing it a little bit.
Yep.
So well deserved for him. Like, Stop the Presses. Paul Newman is great.
So good.
But also Stop the Presses. Hanks is great. And the thing I love about Tom Hanks, my appreciation of Tom Hanks moment here is he so rarely, in fact, I challenge you to tell me a time where he didn't do this, but he's so, at least in the last 30 years, like when he wasn't a comedy guy and Big and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Which also Oscar nomination. So he doesn't pick roles where the character outshines the story. Like,
sure.
There has never been a time where you go to a movie and you say, wow, Tom Hanks was totally stealing like a scene chewing thing. He is always a servant to the story, and he will give up scenes. Saving Private Ryan, famously, he cut his own lines.
Yes.
Which arguably cost him an Oscar. Instead Roberto got it. And so he is good in that movie. That movie's terrible though.
Yes.
But anyway, just like Life is Beautiful. Just so we're clear. Like, you and I understand what I'm talking about. I don't want anyone thinking that I think as Saving Private Ryan is bad.
Yes.
But like, just the appreciation of him in this movie is a lesser actor or lesser director and writer or anything else would have given him these like sort of scene chewing scenes, you know what I mean? Or set chewing scenes of like all this like anger and things like that. He never shows one bit of anger.
Yes.
He is calm the entire time. Even killing people, he's calm the entire time. Hanks is pitch perfect in this, and I can't think of another actor who could be able to do this.
That's a great call out, where he is a servant of the story.
And I think that is why he ends up
experience.
not getting nominated as much.
Yeah.
I mean, there aren't as many good female roles in Hollywood we've discussed in the past.
True.
But yeah, he will willingly give up anything for the story.
And you think about, we talk about Gangs in New York and we'll watch it this year, and Danny Day-Lewis is unreal in what he does. But that's a somewhat different example of he serves the story, but he chews scenery.
Oh, yeah.
And
he's
is so
he's
larger
the center
than life.
of attention. When Daniel Day-Lewis is on screen, you're looking at him.
Exactly. And that is not the case for Tom Hanks in many good ways, where you just go, the dude is just a professional.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of talking to talk about those three things, but those are my last few points. But in particular, those two guys, to have, I mean, what a joy to watch two all-time actors on screen and together. Like, we've talked about Heat many times in the past.
True.
Two all-time great actors, they share one scene together.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yes.
They share many scenes together. So to be able to watch the two of them act together and play off each other, and I think that does tie into sort of our subconscious connection to this movie.
Yes. Yeah. Newman was great. I forgot how good he was. Just, aching in terms of, my son is a piece of crap and you would have been a better son than mine.
Yeah.
But he can't. Yeah. Oh God.
Can't do it.
So good. Anyway. Yeah, that's good. I like those.
This is my last comparison to it, but like, would Vito Corleone ever have turned on his kids for Tom, the adopted son?
Yeah.
No, he would not have. He would have absolutely given up Tom for Sonny, and he knew Sonny was a problem.
Yep.
But he never would have turned against his family.
Yeah. That's good.
3 Godfather comparisons.
Ooh, man, you're doing great. Yeah.
All right. Well, as much as we would love to continue, our next segment is Drinking Buddies, the sequel.
Let's get weird.
We review the beers that we had while rewatching the film and give our ratings out of 5 stars. We're going to have some interesting conversation here. So Tim will walk us back through ours and introduce our strange brew. So Tim, what do we got?
The first one we had was our theme beer, the Munich Helles for Perdition. Traditional Bavarian lager from Bad Weather out of St. Paul. It was a 3.5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's solid. I didn't expect much. I mean, I got it largely for the name. And it was a lager. I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, I'm expected to taste like a lager. It was solid, just okay. It was a nice little crisp beer that I'm happy to have started with, and I'll probably enjoy when it's really hot out this week coming up, the others, and then never have it again.
Yeah, I had a 3.75 out of 5 because it's a fine Helles. Helles is essentially what, like a Pilsner, etc. Like, it's fine. 3.75. I got nothing to... Was it Matt? Your friend Matt?
Yes.
Who, when we were at Falling Knife, was like, I can't really get excited about a Pilsner. Same thing here. Like, it was just like, it's good. I was totally crushable. I could, I absolutely
could enjoy that.
In fact, even though it's the lowest rated one here, I probably could argue it was my favorite of the night.
Sure.
Not lowest rated. That's not true. But it was lower rated than my favorite, like, of ratings.
Yeah.
But I drank the whole thing, and I would have another one that was crushable. But as Hellas's go, or Pilsners or whatever, I'm like, yeah, it's good.
It's good. And then we had from Humble Forager out of Wisconsin, their Coastal Sunshine Fruited Sour Pineapple, with pineapple, orange, and banana. It was really tasty.
Yeah.
Really good. Again, Humble Forager just keep
on point,
kicking
man.
it.
Lately on point.
Every time I have, so this is fantastic. It's a 4.25
Yep.
for me. But again, the only challenge I have is tall boys. Sours like this, like a thick sour, it's tough.
Yeah.
For me. And not just because, like, oh, we're going to drink a few while we watch a movie.
Yeah, it does come into play a little bit. Like, if we were just chilling out, and, you know, but I agree. I could have finished it, but didn't.
Yes.
I had a 4.25 as well, though.
Yeah. It's really good, man.
Very well done, smoothie sour. Great balance. I do feel like more and more as we go, the line between beer and juice is becoming thinner and thinner. Because there was no booze.
No
flavor at all in that.
No.
And so it's like the Long Island iced tea of alcohol, right? Like it
was like a mimosa.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So it was good. I had a 4.25 as well. It was very good. Definitely shareable. So
it's good. Then we had Drecker's Doomsday Device, their double IPA, Mosaic Hazy IPA. It was a 4 for me. I like Drecker. I think that the challenge that I have with them is they were so far ahead of the industry. I mean, we were at Beer Fest.
Oh, absolutely.
We're like Thor stuff for all the Valkyrie series.
Oh,
like,
my gosh.
This is incredible.
People would follow Drecker's beer truck in town to make sure, because it was 1 4-pack per liquor store. So they would just follow it around.
Yeah. Until they cut the cardboard
Thor
stuff.
is my, what is that? Anyway, but I agree.
All the ones. So it's great. A little bit too much haze, I find at times, where it's like kind of like in the back. Like,
it's too bitter. Yep.
I didn't finish it because, again, tall boys, but I like it. It's great. Good to have it again. I haven't had a Drecker in a couple of years. But again, I think the industry's caught up to what they do.
So mine's a 3.75 because of the exact same thing you said at the end.
Yeah.
You haven't had it in a couple of years, and I haven't either. And guess what? This tasted exactly like other Dreckers from the last few years.
Yes.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed at Drecker.
It's a different label, it feels like.
Something has marshmallow, something has cereal, something has whatever. If it's an IPA, it has to be hazy, because God forbid they make a West Coast.
Yes.
I poured it, it was hazy. I was like, it's Drecker.
Oh, well,
So it's 3.75. Not that it's bad.
Yep.
But the 100 beers that came before it were as good or better, so it's not going to be rated above them.
Yep.
And I think I sound frustrated because I kind of am. Because, like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about it with LTD in the past. If you make really good beer, why do you have to make something new? I get challenging yourself.
Yep.
I get it. But Drecker, so does Black Stack.
Yes.
Every beer they make is the exact same beer, and yet they call it something else and expect me to shell out $18 for per 4-pack. That's insulting.
Yes.
If you find a really good beer, just keep making the stupid thing. Stop calling it something else.
Yeah.
To me, that's why I'm getting sick and tired of these breweries. Like, I appreciate walking in. We've talked about in the past 56 with Sippy Squeeze.
Yep.
Lupulin's Blissful Ignorance, or Unmaps No Trace IPA.
Yep.
There's all kinds of ones. I would rather keep buying those than ever keep buying the exact same 4-pack under a different label from Drecker.
Yes.
So it's fine, but I'm just done with Drecker. Not that it's bad,
no,
but I'm just like Toppling Goliath, kind of the same thing.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yep.
Okay.
I don't buy them anymore. Or Black Stack. Exactly. All the ones you talked about. It's like, it just feels like a new, clever, snarky name.
Yeah.
And
to get
slap a label on it.
beer guys to buy it.
Yes.
And they all pontificate about it, not to sound like Tim, but like they do. They're just like, oh my God, you have to try this. I'm like, I've had this before. You don't have to try it. I've literally the same beer I've had for the last 5 years from this brewery.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
Continue.
I'm right here.
Soapbox is done.
Yeah. And then we had the Bent Brewstillery, their Jamaican style stout. Again, with a label saying with cocoa, espresso, dark fruit, and rum kisses. I would challenge you to taste any of those 4.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you did, but I did not. It was a fine stout.
Correct.
That I felt like 3.5 for me, 3.5. It was kind of flat, honestly, but still okay. But all these things, maybe hint, again, the rum kiss. But that's, if you didn't put that on there, I wouldn't be expecting it. So I had to rank it lower because I was expecting more for that.
Why a 3.75? Only because Bent Brewstillery sucks something fierce.
That's true.
So this is at least a drinkable beer from
It was
Bent.
drinkable, yes.
I could have used a makeout session of rum, please. I didn't need kisses. I needed an actual
Something
tongue
more.
deep into my throat of rum. Like, it was absurd. What the hell are rum kisses? What are we doing here? This is just dumb. So no, I had a 3.75 because it's better than any of the other garbage I've ever had from them. So I appreciate you bought it. And I agree with you from as stouts go. Like, this would be a perfect stout to transition from fall into winter, or like in a fall. Summer, it's tough to have a stout anyway.
Yeah.
But if this were like a late September stout, I'd be like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yep.
But I needed, if you're going to tell me that there's whiskey or rum, I better taste it. Otherwise, no.
Yeah, don't put it on there, man.
No.
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
It tastes nothing. Okay, so then we have our strange brew.
Take off, you Hoosier. You take off, you numb.
From Hoosiers. Hoosies, actually.
Yeah, I thought, was it Hoosiers or Hoosies?
Sorry,
I think it's Hoosiers.
Sorry. Hoosier Brewing Company out of Indiana.
I assume.
They're,
it's not Alaska. That may, yeah.
I forget. Wait, I'm peeling back the label.
That's fine. It's whatever. It's somewhere in
Greenwood, Indiana. Their Spin to Win avocado, lime, cilantro, guacamole, fruited sour ale. Those are words we did not make up. That's that. I don't know what to make of this. I don't know that. I mean, I guess I was maybe expecting more guacamole flavor. Like
I was praying I wouldn't actually.
Yeah,
so
like,
thankfully, it's more of a lime sour.
It's very limey.
Yeah. So it's better than I thought, but it smells terrible.
Yeah.
It smells like a breakfast smoothie that a personal trainer would make you and be like, "Here, this is your breakfast." It smells like grass. It's terrible.
Yes.
So I was initially really mad.
It's gotten better.
Yeah. What's your ranking though?
It's like 3.25.
Yeah, I have a 3.5 solely because they swung for the fence and they didn't fail.
True.
But there are chunks in this, and that is an immediate knock. Because if that's chunks of avocado, which it better be, otherwise I don't want to know what it is. So filter your damn beer. Like,
yeah, when they say
I do not need chunks of avocado in this, but thankfully it is more of a lime sour. There's no cilantro. That seems like a waste. But the color is awful. Like,
it seems.
It's not even. Do you remember we had that Fun Dip one from Falling Knife that looked like Ecto Cooler?
Yes.
That was fun.
Yes.
This is like gross.
Like skank ass water.
Yeah, this is gross. But props for trying, man.
Yeah.
I get the spin to win. If it's like I kind of feel like it's right.
Ding.
This is what they're going to put in there.
Yeah.
So never have I seen avocado in a beer.
Nope.
So I had to buy it.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah. And it'll be the only time I ever buy it. But I was like, the first sip I had a giant chunk of something. And I was like, oh my God, what am I getting into right now?
Like,
I was like, nope. Immediate pass. But the flavor is thankfully mostly lime. So the base of the lime sour is actually pretty good.
That is correct.
We good?
We are indeed.
All right. So our final segment of the episode is Quiz Show.
The exciting quiz program 21.
Where we research for the film. Where in our research for the film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you, our dear listeners. I do. I mean, I guess I have a couple. Do you have?
I have a couple.
All right. I will go first.
Cool.
Since you didn't know this, cinematographer Conrad L. Hall, who posthumously won the Oscar because he had passed away before this, he won the Oscar.
Oh, really?
For this film, rightfully so, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Conrad Hall is the son of fiction author James Norman Hall, who Hall is famous for writing a military trilogy of books, which I cannot say the name of the trilogy because you'll give him the answer.
Okay.
The most influential of which was made into an Oscar-nominated / winning film not once but twice. First in 1935, starring Clark Gable, and the other in 1962, starring Marlon Brando. Can you name the book? Or, because I don't need to know the series, but this book was made twice into an Oscar-nominated or winning film.
I feel like the only one is like All Quiet on the Western Front.
Well, I mean, kind of, it's a military-style book, yes, but
that's the only one I can think of.
I would give you a very easy hint. Wow. His trilogy is called the Bounty Trilogy.
Oh, is it the Mutiny on the Bounty?
Mutiny on the Bounty. So nice. Conrad L. Hall's father wrote that book.
It's good trivia.
Thank you.
Wow.
Well done. Coming in hot.
That's really good. So this was director Sam Mendes' second film after winning the Best Director Academy Award for his directorial debut in 1999's American Beauty. While there have been 19 directors who have been nominated for Best Director in their motion picture debut, only 6, including Mendes, have won the award in that year. Can you name the other 5 of the films they directed?
My style. That's my kind of
You like
question.
that? I'll even give it the years.
You're giving me my kind of question.
You like that?
You'll have to give me some sort of,
1955. That's a tough one.
That is a tough one. Okay.
1961.
Okay.
A musical.
Yeah.
1980. A family drama.
Oh, that's Redford.
There. Yep.
Yeah, that's Redford.
For
Ordinary People.
83. A tearjerker.
Yeah.
Comedy.
Is it Kramer? No, that's not.
With Jack.
It's Terms of Endearment.
Yep.
Yeah, that's James L. Brooks.
Nice. And then 1990.
Oh, yeah, that would be Kevin Costner for Dances with Wolves.
Nice.
So 61 and 55?
Impressed.
Is that
yes.
the other two?
Yeah, 61 and 55.
Oof. Wow.
When you're a jet, you're a jet.
What's that?
When you're a jet.
Oh, yeah, that would be what's his name though? Because he was actually kicked off for half the movie.
Jerome Robbins.
Yeah, Robbins, because he was the choreographer and he was the director initially, and then somebody else went.
For West Side Story.
Yeah, and that was, and then
it was.
Yeah, go ahead.
Delbert Mann for Marty.
Oh yeah, see, freaking Marty, man, that comes up all the time.
Right?
Borgnine won Best Actor for that too.
Yes,
I will admit, and you won't believe me because I did think Marty, but I would never be able to get who that director was.
Oh, no way.
I'll take 3 out of 5.
You didn't really. I'm super impressed. That was good. Odd detail: the next director after Mendes to be nominated for Best Director in his film debut was in 2002 with Chicago director
Rob Marshall.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Which we'll watch later this year. But yeah, we'll watch that later this year.
Yeah.
He'll come up in Rain of Fire for some reason, but we'll come back to that.
Ooh.
Teaser. All right, so I have 2 more. How many do you have?
I have 3.
Oh my gosh, we're going to go into 2 hours on this one. So, as amazing an actor as Paul Newman was, and as many films as he starred in, from what I could tell, he never starred in a film with any of the principal actors from this film.
True.
Except for one.
Okay.
Jennifer Jason Leigh. In what 1994 Coen Brothers film did the 2 star together?
The Hudsucker Proxy?
Correct.
Which I've never seen, but I know.
You got to see it, man. If you like the Coen Brothers at all, you have to see it. In my opinion, it's a top 5 of theirs. I love that movie. And I don't even like the Coen Brothers that much.
Ooh.
I love that movie.
I should check it out.
So yes, you are correct.
Nice.
Well done.
So speaking of Paul Newman, and this is going to be just the one you aim me on.
Oh,
the film was
a big chunk of avocado.
like you said, is his last on-screen role for a film. And he's been nominated for 10 Academy Awards, one for Color Money 86. However, many people know Paul Newman for his philanthropic work through Newman's own foundation. Happy to say I have some of his dressing upstairs in my fridge.
Amazing, yeah.
Care to guess how much money has been donated from Newman's own since 1982?
It is. I mean, I think it's over $1 billion, but I don't know what the official one is. But it's like 800 million or something is the official. The last I saw, it was somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's like 825 million or something like that.
Yeah, I had
40 years.
Because, and I will say, so I'm going to give myself a correct answer on that one.
Yes, you should.
Only because there's a documentary coming out about
really
him and I can't remember the name of his wife.
Joanne Woodward.
Woodward, thank you. And so there's a documentary coming out about him, and it was featured recently, and somebody had talked about that. So I will admit that I was close to that, but it's somewhere in that area, which is just an amazing.
The Last Movie Star is what it's called.
Oh, but look who's directing it. Oh, Ethan Hawke.
Yes, I did see that. Yes,
directed by the whole thing.
That's
so there we
right.
go.
Yes.
So why don't you go one more?
Well, I'm not happy with this, but we'll do it anyway. Although he arguably has done nothing else of note, The Haunting, The Wolfman, David Self, who adapted the script for Road to Perdition from the DC comic graphic novel. But this was not the only 2002 film he had a hand in crafting. He was hired by Universal Studios to do an uncredited rewrite for what action thriller we've discussed on the pod already for 2002.
Bourne?
Yeah.
Huh.
He got in to kind of spruce up a bit of the Tony Gilroy script.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. I got that one right. Also,
you did good.
My next question is about David Self. So I was sitting here freaking out, thinking you would.
No.
Did you look at his filmography then?
Just The Haunting and The Wolfman.
That's it?
That's it.
Good,
that I saw.
You missed a major one.
Oh.
So David Self. He has those other ones, blah, blah, blah. And in my opinion, missed out on an Oscar nomination for screenplay in this.
Yes.
This is up for Best Picture. He would have been nominated for it. He previously wrote what year 2000 Cold War era film starring Kevin Costner?
Oh, okay. The Kennedy.
Yep.
13 Days.
Correct.
Okay. Whew.
A movie that people don't know about and need to. Movie is amazing.
It's really good.
It's amazing. So yeah, he wrote that.
It's really good. I did not. That was not.
Yeah,
my
you're like,
yet.
I saw Haunting. I saw Wolfman. I was like, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
He has
Except
two
for that
good
one.
movies on
That's
his
good.
resume. Yeah.
All right. So, favorite film composer for me is Thomas Newman.
Yes.
As we talked about him. He's been nominated 15 times for Academy Award.
Yes.
Best original score. He also comes from a storied family of film composers, including his cousin, Randy Newman, who we've talked about on the pod before, and notably his father, Alfred Newman, who won 9 Academy Awards and is likely most famous for composing, at the start of this movie, the 20th Century Fox opening credit fanfare. Had no idea. I was like, oh my God, we're watching it. Yet Thomas holds claim to a rather unique place in film history, as along with 3 other men, he composed or produced the music for Steven Spielberg films in the absence of his longtime collaborator, John Williams. Thomas composed 2015's Bridge of Spies. Can you name the other 3 and or the films they composed for Spielberg?
Oh, the
other 3 composers. Non-John Williams.
That was a long-winded.
I got you there.
Question.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I can't remember his name, but somebody else did Ready Player One.
Alan Silvestri.
Silvestri, thank you.
Yep. That's one.
Yeah, Color Purple.
Yep, Quincy Jones.
Thank you. So how many do I have to answer?
One more.
Well, Duel doesn't count, does it? Because that was not that wouldn't have been Williams.
Think the opposite end of his career.
No, yeah, I'm thinking like more lately here. West Side.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I was just like
West Side by Thomas's older brother David Newman.
Well, look at that!
Look at that! The Newmans are apparently the most nominated family.
Wow.
In Oscar history,
which
is funny, with like 92 or something like that.
Yeah, that's amazing
because it's like 2 sisters and another cousin. Like it's crazy. So,
wow.
Anyway,
well, there we go.
That's a good one.
All right, so I'm not going to be asking if there's anything else. So we'll just move on, and that'll bring us to the end of the episode. Stay tuned for our upcoming happy hour on Reign of Fire. And also coming soon will be Signs from M. Night Shyamalan and Spirited Away. Or maybe something else. We'll see. We want to say thank you for taking time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. Find us on Twitter at years_beers and on Facebook, or head to the soon-to-be updated 20years4beers.com. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks. Rum kisses.
God forbid we ask you to pay attention.
Cinema.
Pompous.
I needed an actual
Something
tongue
more.
deep into my throat.